She told me, point blank, "If you haven't put a ring on my finger by Valentine's Day, I'm going back to my ex." I looked at her and said, "That's reasonable." Then, on Valentine's Day itself, I took her to an elegant restaurant, and right after the appetizers arrived, but before the entrees, I ended things. When the server brought out the dessert she had secretly pre-ordered, with "Say Yes" written across it in icing, let me tell you how I narrowly escaped disaster. I sat down to an expensive meal as a boyfriend and walked out single. Best $147 I've ever dropped. I'm a 32-year-old guy, and I dated Kimberly, 29, for 2 full years. In retrospect, the warning signs were so numerous they could have supplied banners for a May Day parade, but you only see clearly after the fact. Let's be honest, Kimberly was breathtaking. The kind of beautiful that makes people turn around when she enters a room. She was sharp too, a marketing director, witty when she felt like it, and sophisticated. She always knew the right utensil, something I still struggle with. But there was this edge to her, an intensity that left you guessing whether the next moment would bring passion or property damage. We met at my cousin's wedding. She was a close friend of the bride. I was a reluctant member of the wedding party. A few drinks in, we were kissing behind the photo booth. By the time the reception ended, we were glued to each other. Straight out of a romantic comedy, right? The first 12 months were fantastic. Spontaneous weekend getaways, private jokes, amazing intimacy, everything you hope for. She even tolerated my awful dad jokes, something no woman before or after has managed. But around month 13, the dynamic began to change. She started hinting about marriage. At first, it was gentle, pausing in front of jewelry store windows, tagging me in social media posts about dream proposals, casually bringing up which of her friends had just gotten engaged. Then it became blatant, leaving wedding magazines on my coffee table after sleepovers, describing what our future children might look like, asking my thoughts on different venues, just as a hypothetical. For background, we never fully combined households. I kept my apartment, she kept hers, but we were together almost every night at one or the other. I had a drawer and toiletries at her place. She had the same at mine. It worked well, until it didn't. I wasn't opposed to marriage in principle. I just wasn't convinced Kimberly was my forever person. Something felt wrong, but whenever I tried to suggest slowing down, she would either dissolve into tears or explode so fiercely that neighbors probably considered dialing 911. The next morning she'd act as if nothing had happened. Classic push-pull cycle. I'm not a therapist, but I've been around the block enough to spot it. The ultimatum arrived exactly 6 weeks before Valentine's Day, during dinner at my apartment. I had cooked my signature dish, decent spaghetti with Jared sauce I jazzed up enough to pass as homemade. She was expertly twirling noodles when she said, "I've been thinking about Valentine's Day." "It's only January," I answered, completely unaware of the ambush. "Well, I think it would be the ideal day for a proposal. So romantic, so classic. My parents got engaged on Valentine's Day." I almost inhaled a piece of garlic bread. I haven't really considered that." Her smile stayed in place, but her gaze turned icy. "You should start considering it, because if you don't propose by then, I'm going back to Michael." Michael, her ex, the prosperous property developer who apparently still messaged her constantly, a detail she loved dropping whenever she was mad at me. "You're issuing an ultimatum?" I asked, floored. "I'm being practical," she answered. "I'm turning 30 soon. I can't waste time on a relationship that's going nowhere. Michael is ready to settle down. Are you?" I stared at her for a long beat. "That's reasonable," I finally said. She looked momentarily thrown by my calm reaction, but then satisfied. "Good," she replied, and resumed eating her pasta as if she hadn't just held our relationship at gunpoint. That night, while she slept, I lay awake processing, not planning proposals, but realizing she was prepared to leap from my arms to his based on whether I delivered a ring by a random date. That I felt cornered rather than cherished. That the idea of a lifetime with someone who used threats made my skin crawl. In the following weeks, Kimberly was happier than she'd been in ages. She interpreted my "that's reasonable" as agreement to her timeline. She started getting manicures weekly just in case, and left a sticky note with her ring size on my bathroom mirror. Meanwhile, I was quietly preparing my exit. I reserved a table at Maison Laurent, an upscale French spot downtown. Not the most extravagant in the city, but definitely refined. The kind with real candles and servers who pronounce everything correctly. Kimberly had mentioned wanting to go there several times. I also began gradually retrieving my things from her apartment. Nothing dramatic, just a few books here, fewer clothes in the drawer there, especially since she was spending more nights at my place. I updated all my passwords. I made sure I wasn't linked to any of her accounts. Valentine's Day came. Kimberly spent the day at a salon getting proposal ready, as she texted me. I picked her up at 7. She looked incredible in a red dress that likely cost more than my car note. Her face lit up when we arrived at Maison Laurent. "You remembered I wanted to come here," she murmured, gripping my arm as the valet took the keys. "Of course," I said. I had also made sure we arrived in my car only. Tactical. The hostess seated us at a quiet window table. I'd requested privacy when booking. Kimberly's eyes sparkled at the single rose on the table. "This is perfect," she said, scanning the room, probably looking for hidden cameras or a string quartet. "It's a special evening," I replied, truthfully. We ordered cocktails and starters. She chose an artsy Capri salad that was mostly decorative balsamic. I got French onion soup, partly for comfort before the storm. Conversation was tense. She kept eyeing my jacket for a telltale box-shaped bulge. Kept glancing at my watch, timing everything. After the appetizers, during a pause, I reached for her hand. "Kimberly," I said gently. Her whole face glowed. She thought this was the moment. "These past 2 years have taught me something crucial," I went on. Tears were already forming. She was certain a proposal was coming. "I don't want to marry you. Not on Valentine's Day. Not ever. We're finished." Her expression shattered, then hardened. "What? You gave me an ultimatum. Propose by Valentine's, or you return to Michael. I'm choosing door number 3. I leave." "Is this some kind of sick joke?" she hissed, clutching her wine glass. "No joke. I've had weeks to think. Someone who really loved me wouldn't threaten to walk away if I didn't meet an arbitrary deadline. That isn't love. That's pressure." Her face cycled through shock, hurt, rage. "You absolute jerk," she whispered, voice shaking. "You brought me to a fancy restaurant on Valentine's Day to dump me? I figured if you were forcing my hand, I'd make it unforgettable." She glanced around, noticing curious glances from nearby tables. "I can't believe you're humiliating me like this, in public, on Valentine's Day. Would you rather I did it at home where you could throw things? Or at your place where you might not let me leave? I know how you get, Kimberly. This was safest for everyone. You orchestrated all of this," she realized. I nodded. "Just like you orchestrated your ultimatum." She started to rise, likely to make a dramatic exit, when the server appeared. "Your entrées will be out soon," he said, topping off water. "And Miss Palmer, the dessert you requested this morning when confirming is ready." I lifted an eyebrow. Kimberly froze. "We won't need that," she said quickly. The server looked puzzled. "But it's already prepared." The pastry team added the custom inscription as requested. Now I was intrigued. "What inscription?" The server shifted awkwardly. "It's a chocolate cake with, say yes and frosting." She had secretly ordered a celebratory cake that morning, so confident of a proposal. "Bring it out," I said, ignoring her horrified glare. "But," she protested, "I'm paying for the meal. Might as well enjoy the full experience." The server, sensing the storm, retreated. "You're loving this, aren't you?" she whispered angrily. "A bit, yes. You've been trying to control me for months." "Fair's fair. I'm leaving," she declared, grabbing her bag. "Your choice. But it's freezing outside. You have no car, and your coat's at the coat check. Food's almost here." Defeated by practicalities, she sat back down. We endured painful silence until the mains arrived. She stared at her pricey salmon like it had betrayed her. I savored my steak. Freedom adds incredible flavor. Then the moment came. The server returned, visibly uneasy, carrying a small chocolate cake. As he set it down, the words "say yes" were clear in white icing. Nearby tables noticed, but pretended not to. I said, examining it. "A little presumptuous, don't you think?" The server fled after we declined anything else. Kimberly leaned in. "I hate you," she hissed. "That's reasonable," I echoed. "But you know what isn't reasonable? Trying to coerce someone into marriage by threatening to run to an ex. That's not love, Kim. Nowhere close." Her phone buzzed. She checked it, then glared. "It's Michael. Want me to tell him the spot's open? Be my guest. You two are perfect for each other." I asked for the check. The server brought it fast. I paid $147 including tip, steep for dinner, cheap for liberation. While waiting for the card, Kimberly touched up her makeup, reassembling the poised woman I'd arrived with. You could have just rejected the ultimatum weeks ago, she said, closing her compact. Spared us both the embarrassment. I shook my head. Would you have accepted it? Or cried, argued, manipulated until I caved? Tell the truth. She stayed silent. Answer enough. The server returned. I signed, tipped generously. The staff had earned it. At the door, the hostess asked for my car. I turned to Kimberly. Need a ride somewhere? She was already ordering a ride share, glaring. Uber's 4 minutes away. Fine, I'll wait with you. Don't bother, she snapped, but I stood outside with her anyway. February nights are too cold to abandon anyone, even her. When her car arrived, she gave me one final venomous look. You'll regret this. Goodbye, Kimberly, I said, and watched her leave. Then I drove home feeling freer than I had in months. The aftermath was predictable. Kimberly told mutual friends I'd humiliated her, strung her along, wasted her prime years. Some bought it. Most didn't, especially when she was back with Michael within weeks. She even sent me a $200 Venmo request labeled ring deposit, non-refundable. She'd apparently put money down on a ring she assumed I'd buy. I declined and blocked her everywhere. It's been 6 months since that Valentine's. I'm single, contentedly so, taking time to understand how I ignored so many red flags and why part of me still occasionally misses her. Hearts are complicated, but I regret nothing. Not the breakup, not the method, not the $147. Because staying in a toxic relationship costs far more than leaving. Oh, and Michael and Kimberly got engaged last month after roughly 5 months back together. Their wedding is planned for next Valentine's Day. The poor guy has no idea. Edit. Wow, didn't expect this to blow up. Thanks for the comments and awards. Clarifying a few recurring points. 1. Yes, public breakups are generally cruel. But this was a low-key setting with limited audience, and given her past explosive behavior, it felt safest. She once hurled my PS5 controller because I was focused on a video game. Another time she physically blocked her apartment door for 2 hours during a fight. So public was strategic, not purely vindictive. 2. No, I'm not crashing their wedding, though friends have joked about RSVPing with a photo of a cake saying I said no. 3. Was she worth the 2 years physically? Absolutely. Emotionally? Not even remotely. 4. To those calling me the jerk for wasting her time when she clearly wanted marriage. If someone demands a proposal or they'll return to an ex, they're not ready for marriage. They're ready for a legally binding hostage situation. 5. Why not end it the night of the ultimatum? I was stunned and needed time to process. I also knew instant refusal would trigger tears, bargaining, manipulation. The restaurant ensured a clean exit. Update. 8 months later. Didn't think I'd revive this, but something happened yesterday worth sharing. I was at my buddy Jack's birthday dinner downtown when I spotted Michael at the bar. Alone. Instead of avoiding me, he approached. Can we talk? He asked. I stepped away with him. Bottom line. He ended the engagement about a month ago. Kimberly had issued the same ultimatum. Move the wedding from Valentine's to December, or she'd go to a coworker named Steve. There's always a backup. The final straw? He overheard her ordering a wedding cake inscribed, finally locked down, in red icing. Not, true love wins, or anything romantic, just locked down. I should have listened when you warned the group chat, he said, buying himself a beer. I thought you were just bitter. I was bitter, I admitted. We talked 20 minutes. He's actually decent, successful, but not the jerk I'd imagined. Just another casualty of Kimberly's emotional tactics. The kicker? After he ended it, she tried reaching me through a mutual friend to reconnect and heal. I never replied, still blocked everywhere. But she apparently told Michael I was begging for another chance, and she was torn between us. The friend confirmed she asked for my number, but the begging was pure fabrication. Now she's apparently telling people I'm harassing her. I'm not. Michael is relocating to Seattle for work. I'm enjoying peace and quiet. Haven't returned to Maison Laurent. Some memories are best left untouched. Life is strange, but at least it's not dull. Final update, 1 year later. This is the last chapter of the Valentine's cake saga. I'm now in a healthy, happy relationship with someone who has never threatened to leave for an ex. Her name is Ellie, a veterinarian. When I told her this entire story on date 3, she laughed so hard wine came out her nose. As for Kimberly, word is she's engaged again to husband number 3. Turns out she was briefly married in her early 20s, a detail I only learned afterward. This one's a surgeon. They met when she twisted her ankle on her apartment stairs right after Michael left town. Drama is her constant companion. Michael and I occasionally text. He's dating a kind, stable woman who doesn't keep him on edge or demand pastry-based commitments. Last Valentine's, Ellie and I stayed in, ordered pizza, and watched terrible movies. Perfect, no ultimatums, no scripted desserts, no blackmail. Just two people happy to be together without force. Sometimes I reflect on how close I came to a lifetime trapped with someone who saw relationships as victories rather than partnerships. That $147 dinner remains the smartest money I've ever spent on my future. To anyone facing similar threats about marriage, kids, career, anything, remember, real love doesn't coerce. It walks alongside you, not ahead pulling or behind pushing. And it certainly doesn't involve passive-aggressive bakery orders. Thanks for listening. Case closed.